Hey guys, this is Peter Gunhilder, here to teach you some Tabletop Simulator, specifically how to run Conquest Last Argument of Kings on the game. Now the Conquest Eternal Discord has the mod for it if you'd like to join us there, or if you just search it up on the workshop for Tabletop Simulator, just look up Conquest mod. Let me just double check. So I'll show you guys what the mod looks like, but first let me show you how to create a multiplayer lobby, because this is how you will play with other people. You could also do hot seat, where you could play as basically single player on the same computer, and you could just switch it off. That's what hot seat does. But since you'll mostly be playing online with other people, let's go to multiplayer. This is the server I usually use and the password. You could change it up however you'd like. I prefer just going for the public, because most people that you'll be in Discord with, you could just give them the name, password. There's no need to invite or add friends. Keep the maximum players to 2 or 3, maybe even 4. Depends on how strong your computer is. Okay, so this is the mod that we use. Complete Conquest The Last Argument of Kings mod. When you load it up, it should look like this. It does take a while to fully load up. Don't worry about it. Depending on your computer, it may load a little bit faster. Once you have yourself, you should pop up over here on the top right. If another player is here, specifically your opponent, they should pop up underneath this plus sign. Now, once they pop up, the first thing you should do is click on their name, and rather than have just these two options, if you click on your own name, if you're the host of the server, if you click on their name, another option should pop up. It says promote. Your opponent needs to be promoted before they can interact with the board, so make sure that you promote them. Once you and your opponent are in the game, click on stop looking for players on the top right to help save some bandwidth and hopefully keep your connection more stable, at least just a little bit. Next up, let's upload our army PDFs. I already have my stuff set up, but here, let's do this. How do I show you to create PDF? First, click on Objects, then go to Components, click on Custom, Custom PDF. So long as it's anywhere on the board, just click once with your left, and then right-click once. This should show up, Custom PDF. Here you get to choose your local files and what you want to upload. When you're uploading, make sure you upload to the cloud, because if you upload on local, only if you're the host will you be able to load it in. If you click on cloud, then you could load it up on any multiplayer table, even if someone else is hosting it. Now here we go. This is our PDF. It's really small. If you use the Alt key, holding it, and then your hand hovers onto it, you can see zoom, like an immediate zoom from that. If you want to make your PDFs bigger, so you could see it better on the zoom, just click on Scale. Right-click on the PDF, hover over Scale, and click Up. I'd say about 15 times is enough. Usually I measure it on this to see if it's big enough or not. There we go. Now you could see my campaign Albion for the Slow Growth League on Conquest Eternal. Right click, left click, so on and so forth. Every PDF on Conquest has the special rules written down on the back side too, so you don't have to always refer to the book itself, which are also provided on the table. Thankfully, Nick Creep, the person who's primarily in charge of the mod, uploaded the most recent version very recently. Thank you for your hard work, Nick. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Next up, let's create our regiments. First, I have this on the table. You should probably do this on single player before you start your match, but if you don't have time, you and your opponent can do this together. First, what I recommend doing is, while the table is clear, set up the PDF on the middle of the table. Use Alt to just look over and see what you need to pick up. So first, let's see, I need a Noble Lord, Militia, Household Guard, and Longbowman. What you can do afterwards is just put your PDF off to the side and then pick up one of the stacks, 100 Kingdoms right here, and then place this in the middle. So let me get a better close look at that. Place it in the middle right here. Click on Load Map. Do not click on Save Map. Save map means that whatever is on the middle of this table becomes embedded in this cartridge. And if you click save map if you click save while there's nothing on the table, this entire 31 items within the 100 kingdoms disappears. So first let's load map instead. Alright, so with the regiments loaded up, or at least the stands, you could see what options you have available to you that are currently uploaded on the mod. Don't worry about using proxies, everyone does it. That said, we don't really use the secondary objectives anymore. You can just delete that. It's a product of the olden times when we played Conquest version 1 and also earlier versions of 1.5. Now we're in version 2.0, so we have been enlightened, let's say. Anyway, let's look for a noble lord. This one's our first character in our 650 point list. I'll just keep him down here. I don't use any of the other characters, not for now, so we'll just put them on the side, followed by Longbowman, that's one of the cards that we needed, and Militia. There's two of them, there's the Militia here and then the Command. The difference, of course, is the banner. That's how you determine which one's the Command stand. Followed by Household Guard. Same issue as the Militia, there's just the normal ones and then there's the one with this banner. These are the three that I'll be using. So let's choose the correct cards, because they also need the command stack. So following up with the long bows. This is a noble lord. And if you hold Alt, like I said earlier, you can zoom in better. So go ahead and do that if you really want to make sure that you're looking at the right one. Because the Militia, for example, this one, at the top right it says Militia. Over here it's the same image, but this is the Militia Bowman. So just keeping it in mind. Use the Militia, finally Household Guard. That's not it. Here they are. We still haven't uploaded the better images for these cards, but I mean, that's okay. Remember not to refer to your cards for your stats in version 2.0, because these are older images. Their stats no longer apply to the regiment itself. Okay, so next up we pick up these trays. These are known as movement trays in this game. Now we're going to be uploading more powerful movement trays. If you guys know the tabletop game for A Song of Ice and Fire, whoever coded the mod for that one did a really good job on making their movement trays. And Nick is working with the Song of Ice and Fire guys in order to improve on our Parabellum Wargames version on Tabletop Simulator. Anyway, what you can do is just copy and paste however many regiments you need. But before that, what I usually like to do is hit on toggle and make sure that the tooltip is on. So you see how this thing shows up as Conquest Movement Tray? If you get rid of the check on the tooltip, it no longer has a name, neither a description. So make sure you have that on if you want to just add more information onto your game. Get rid of the name so that when we copy and paste it, it won't have a name either. Okay, so next up, let's go ahead and put our stands onto their movement trays. First, let's move the Militia on. How many did I decide to get? 4 of them. So let's copy. Whoops. Let's copy 4 of these. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One trick you can do is you can hold the control button and click on all of the stands that you want. And then while you've carried them all in this way, you could press one of the number keys while you're still holding on to change their formation. It's a neat trick, very helpful if you really need to organize them in a special formation very quickly. But anyway, in 2.0, commands have to be in the center of the regiment now. So I do want to keep it at 3 stand so that my noble lord can join in with my militia. Now the back rank doesn't really matter. I like kind of keeping it aesthetically complete, so this is fine. There we go. Look at that. Now we have our regiment of militia on a board. 4 stands of militia and 1 stand of character, the noble lord. Next up, let's go ahead and put on our next regiment, which are the household guard. There are 3 stands of them, it says on my PDF. So 3 stands of household guard. 1, 2, 3. Pick them up, press 1 to keep them together, and then the tray snaps them onto place. Excellent. And finally, my last bit is longbowmen. There are 4 stands of them. Now the longbows also have a command. Let's just choose one of them on random and call it CMD. For these longbows, I do want a 4 rank wide. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lock stands, we're good. Now we see that these are all complete, however they're kind of lacking. There's nothing showing up to show any sort of detail about what we've got. We only have visual confirmation of what we're seeing. If you're using proxies, you could tell your opponent, hey, these household guard, they represent, I don't know, Volva from the Nords. But it would be unfair if your opponent would say later on in the match, I forgot that they were Volva. And there's absolutely no way that it's your opponent's fault that they can't remember what you've used as proxies. It's up to you to do that. So how do you make this easy for yourself and for your opponent? Right click over your regiment and give it a name. This one, we'll call it militia. And what I like to do is use a colon followed by what kind of command models it has. First is the leader. Every regiment should have that. There are some that specifically don't. Double check on your PDF, your army PDF, to make sure that they have leaders and other command models. So this militia will have a leader. What else did it have? A standard bearer. It also has a standard bearer. And an errant of the Order of the Shield. Or, as I like to call it since that's such a long title, Shield Templar. There you go. I'm sure your opponent would also appreciate it if they hover over the name of your card and it says Shield Templar. They know exactly what that means rather than Errant of the Order of the Shield. Next up are the household guard. Let's go ahead and do that quickly. These guys have Standard Bearer and Arms Master. So first up, leader, Standard Bearer, Arms Master. Followed by the longbowmen, which don't have any additional command models, only the leader. Longbowman, leader. We could also name our cards, makes it a lot easier when we draw it from the command stack to show what kind of card we are using. Again, very helpful if you're using proxies. For example, if my proxy was the militia, I have it to represent, I don't know, force-grown drones from the Spires. If I draw the militia, then I want to know whether or not this is going to be the force-grown drones or if it's, I don't know, something like the Vanguard Clone Infiltrators, I guess. If you're using a militia bowman as the proxy for the infiltrators. We have those models, by the way, on the side over here, but I'm just giving an example. So first, let's name the Noble Lord. Card. There we go. Then Household Guard. Followed by Militia. And Longbowman. Now we have a command stack. Here's a tip, guys, for when you actually start the map. Stack your command cards together, because you're going to be doing this often during the match, right? You're going to stack your command cards together. Now, how do you draw your cards and even organize it in a way that your opponent cannot see what you're doing? Well, what you can do is, while they're stacked up like this and also face down, you can press the F key to flip it. While it's face down like this, right click over the cards and then click on search. Here you can organize your deck however you want. The one on the left side, where the Noble Lord is right now, That's the first card to be drawn every single time. Let's go like that. The first card to be drawn is the longbows. See? This is an easy way for you to organize your deck without your opponent ever seeing it while it's still on the table. The only thing that you gotta keep in mind though is that if you're organizing your deck while the match is playing, if you check on the chat, it would say right over here who manipulated the deck. So yeah, I mean, it's still kind of like a... It's still kind of hard to identify sometimes, especially if you guys are doing a lot of measurements during the match. But do keep that in mind because it does pop up. And if it's a quiet moment and you're organizing your cards, your opponent might ask, why are you switching your cards around? That's completely unfair. And it's totally valid, their accusation at that time. What I just as intermediate tips, what I like to do as well is add onto the description down here what characters have. For example, let's see. For my character, what did I give him? Let's refer to the PDF again. I gave him Armor of Dominion, Weapon Master, Combat up to Tier 2. So let's start off with the Armor of Dominion. I like doing 2 spaces first to make it organized. Armor of Dominion, what does that do? Negate Cleave and Smite of stands in contact. Next is Weapon Master. What does that do? Cleave +1. Yes, if I remember correctly. Followed that by Combat Tier 2. These are retinues. Retinues can only be taken in a cumulative order. So you can't just take Combat Tier 3 and then something else, like Arcane Tier 1. You have to take it starting at 1 and then getting 2 before receiving 3. So if you just go for Combat Tier 2, that it's pretty obvious that it means that you're adding Combat Tier 1 and 2 in the same description. Combat Tier 1 grants +1 wounds. Combat Tier 2 adds +1 attacks. There we go. Now if you hover over it, at the description it should pop up what the character is carrying. Now how do you save this army? You just create a box around everything. Click on anything that's already highlighted among your list. I'll right click over my PDF and then I'll click Save Object. I have a folder of my own that I created called //Conquest, but if you want to save it to your root, that's totally fine. Just make sure you name it something that helps you remember what it is. So for this I would say Conquest 650 points, slow growth. Let's save it. Now if we click on objects, saved objects, the first thing to pop up, well, one of the first things to pop up should be here. It's the exact same army that we just made. See? Here's the clone. Alright guys, that's all for now. This is what I've got to show you for part 1. Part 2 is going to be about how to manipulate the entire map and create your own grids, how to set up terrain, so on and so forth. The more intricate parts of battle, the one that actually makes more sense in a multiplayer setting. Okay, until next time, I'll see you guys in a bit. Ciao, ciao.